round 6 of the 2018 FF1M Championship, and we head across the Atlantic to the United States of America, specifically Wisconsin and the Road America circuit. And joining me for this race is the Willows racing boss and Jessie B enthusiast, Joseph Willows.
I was wondering when you were going to bring that up, and I guess I'm going to get quizzed on that at some point.
I'll bring it up straight away.
Yes, you might bring it up a little bit later, but yeah, it's great to be back in the box after a bit of a while, and well, what a track to do it at.
Absolutely one of my favourite circuits, Road America. I've got memories of, my first memory of watching this circuit was in the Champ Car series in 2004, and I just remember Paul Tracy shunting Bruno Junqueira out of the way late in the race and getting black flagged for it. But great circuit, 3 main places to overtake, down the main straight into the left of Moraine and then into Canada Corner, which is the right at the eastern part of the circuit according to that track map. And
it's often been go ahead. I was going to say, it's known for being a bit of a slipstream fest, this track, because often when somebody passes into turn 1, they often get them back down the hill, so that's one to keep an eye on. Absolutely. So, quickly recap on the previous race at Monaco, which saw Fernando Alonso break Gajera's streak and win in front of the 2 Gajeras, mastered the balance of Monaco track position versus race setup. And taking a look at Friday qualifying, and Alessandro Farina topped his group, and failing to make it into the race, 5th time out of 6 races is Galaxy Grand Prix, which means that Tilsley are back in a race again. And moving on to Friday qualifying B, you're safely in the race, unlike AJ. 6 out of 6.
6 out of 6. And AJ not making a race for the second time this season. And hopefully the Judd engines have helped out, and it's quite apt actually, because in the room next to me we've got the CBA boss. So we've got all 3 Judd cars in the commentary box in some capacity, which is somewhat apt as Judd have brought the 2nd engine upgrade this season.
The real reason why the other CBA is here is because, well, we had a cameo last time out in Monaco.
Yep, the little one's back for this one. So, on to qualifying, and it's his first career pole position, Alessandro Farina, and that's by 0.4 of a second as well from Fernando Alonso, the Monaco winner. Valtteri Bottas doing a lot better compared to GRM's pace of late, being up in 3rd ahead of Charles Leclerc. Then we've got Sebastian Vettel qualifying 5th, which it was on the hard Goodyear tyres, which may sound impressive, but if they were running soft compounds they may have taken pole. And look at that, 8th on the grid. Well, Clark 6th, Bryant 7th, but 8th, a Tilsley. Great effort from George Russell. And then we've got the first of the Willows in 9th, Max Verstappen, Thomas Gonzalez 10th, and the remainder of the grid, I'll let you go ahead.
Indeed, P11 goes to Esteban Ocon in the monolith, a good qualifying for him. Lewis Hamilton down in 12th. His season's not been that great so far as Mr. Hamilton, it must be said. Mason Taylor 13th. The other Willows of Romain Grosjean starts in 14th position. So 9th and 14th for my boys. Pretty decent effort considering the rebuild that I'm doing. Daniel Ricciardo P15 with Vino Kimmonen all the way down in 16th. Not a good qualifying for the reigning champion. P17 goes away with Sergio Perez, way off his teammate, so I suspect maybe Bottas was running a qualifying setup, whereas Perez wasn't. Chuck Bucknam in 18th, Nico Hulkenberg in the other monolith in 19th, again probably on a race setup compared to a quali setup. Giovinazzi down in 20th, again probably split strategy between Giovinazzi and Russell. And then on the back row, well, it's your boys, Magnussen and Caracciola. What on earth happened to your guys?
The answer comes in warm-up, because topping the warm-up was Kevin Magnussen. So
you've gone race setup then.
A very heavy race setup, and I'll be the first to reveal that. So yeah, it's a little, I've kind of gone balanced for mine at Road America, because at Monaco I went all in on the qualifying because, well, it's hard to overtake there. Didn't quite work out because, well, I don't think the Judds were up to it at that point. You say that, but CBA found a ton of time when they were between practice and qualifying at Monaco, and I didn't find as much as I'd hoped, but I might dive into that a bit later on. But for now, we look at the race start. 5 lights on, Farina on the left, Alonso on the right, and the 5 lights go out. Looked a good enough launch from Alessandro Farina, and Bottas getting up alongside Fernando Alonso into the first corner. But it is Farina who's going to hold on into the lead of the race. Bottas and Alonso side by side briefly, and it's Alonso who staves off the attack round the outside.
Indeed, impressive start for him. Farina also with an impressive start as well. It's been a good start to the season for them. Can they keep it up, really? But Alonso looks like he might try and line him up down the hill here.
Down the hill into the Moraine bend, and looking up the inside, Farina shutting the door. Fernando Alonso nearly making contact, and through to third goes Charles Leclerc, and further back who have we got? Verstappen's had a good start. He's up from 9th to 7th on the grid. And Kevin Magnussen's had a good start, up to 17th from 21st on the grid.
Yep, a great start for Max. Of course, he's got the only point for us so far, which came at Aragon. Oddly enough, I was also going to say the last time we got points, which was obviously at Aragon, AG didn't qualify for that race either. So, could that be an omen?
Could be. It was Mugello, actually, when Verstappen got
Mugello,
the point.
sorry, not Aragon. It was one of the two interesting races, as I like to call them, the two FIA Grade 1 tracks that F1 doesn't bother visiting. But anyway.
That was Leclerc having a look at Alonso going into Canada Corner, and side-by-side Taylor and Ocon for P11 going through Thunder Valley Bend, or Bill Mitchell Bend, I think that is, at the left, as side-by-side. Alonso versus Leclerc. Leclerc was very quick in the warm-up, and he was third quickest. Farina was... Well, I've got written down here second quickest in warm... No, that's wrong, actually. I'm looking at the wrong race. Farina was fourth quickest. Leclerc was second quickest in warm-up.
So very interesting indeed. But Leclerc is now up into second place, and he didn't need to bump Alonso out of the way this time, like we saw in Melbourne earlier in the season.
Elbows Leclerc cleanly up into second, as that was Clark and Bottas side by side. Clark took Bottas going into the first down the straight at the start of this lap, as Taylor finally gets Ocon into 11th, and there's a bit of a scramble. Got Grosjean side by side with... That's taking Lewis Hamilton for 13th, so Grosjean on the move. And further back, I did see Magnussen and Ricciardo side by side.
So my boys are making moves pretty quickly in this race, it must be said. P7 and P13 now. Let's hope they can keep that up. But Farina's got a bit of a cushion out in front. It was over a second when they crossed the line, but I bet that's now more when we get to the end of this lap.
I'm just trying to see the gap at the top, on the top left of the panel, but quite difficult to see with... blown engine. Oh, it's Verstappen!
Oh, come on.
That's a bit too early for my liking.
And that's not even anything to repair, because he hasn't got the pit indicator on the def panel, so that's sadly race over for Verstappen. God damn it.
That's annoying as well for me, because, yeah, the engine upgrade going well so far. Anyway.
Going to need a word with Jessie B, I think, with that one.
Yeah, she's lurking around in the paddock somewhere.
Yeah, I'll be definitely having words. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's side by side with Kinnunen as he takes Hamilton for 13th place now. It's all Verstappen's failure moved Gonzalez up into 7th place, Nolan Bryant up into 8th, and the rest all moving up one position as a result. So on board with Kevin Magnussen as he looks at Daniel Ricciardo for 15th place. Can he do it on the brakes into Moraine? Yes, he can, as Grosjean barges Ocon out of the way for 11th.
Getting the muscles out, getting the elbows out there is Grosjean, the two Frenchmen going into combat. But with Verstappen's failure coming very early on, he's pulled off obviously at the final corner. A bit worried it might happen to Grosjean here, but let's hope not.
Let's hope not as well, as Alonso is starting to come under pressure from James Clark for third place. Two Gujeras in the top 4, could be two Gujeras in the top 3 if things go to plan. But Clark has had two very good races. He's definitely not as quick as his teammate in qualifying, but he makes up for that in the races.
Absolutely, and we're now going to see if he can try and get the move up the hill. We've seen plenty of overtakes into the first corner, and Clark trying to make it a 1-3 for the Gajera squad if he can, and looks like he's going to get it done straight away. Look at the power of that thing. Yes,
now it could be that the Gajera is a pretty slippery car in a straight line, but they could also have a very good engine as well. Shake and bakes do tend to be pretty quick in a straight line, but they tend to be quite cautious in some ways. Like the very first race, they were running hard tyres because they were just wanting to gain some mileage. But yeah, maybe a bit more aggression is needed if they're going to challenge for the championship.
Indeed so, because so far they've definitely been the surprise this season. I mean, I know they've been a little bit concerned about potentially rivals catching up, because I think they're running a slightly older chassis, if my memory serves me correct.
So Shake and Bake running a 17 chassis, so the same as Gajera and AJ. Some teams on the grid running a 16, so the oldest, and they include Tornado, Andrew, GRM and Mitchell. And the rest, I think the rest running an 18 chassis. That includes both of us.
Yes,
that's a bit wide.
Of understeer there. It's a bit understeer, but luckily he doesn't swerve towards the barrier, because we have seen plenty crash in the pass through there, and it's now invited Magnussen to possibly threaten him down towards the right-hander here.
This is for 13th place. Kimmonen holding the middle ground, shutting the door, and is that going to give the Mitchell an opportunity? Not quite. Magnussen sorted that one, but yeah, it's called Elkhart Lake, this circuit, but Kimmonen looked all at sea round the outside at Carousel.
Yes, because the circuit itself is located around Elkhart Lake, so that's the reason why. As now Magnussen looks like he's got a better run this time on Kimmonen, who so far is having quite a disastrous race, although it looks like the Jod has topped out there. We've got a yellow flag in the last corner, actually. I could just see that down the bottom right.
I think it was Daniel Ricciardo looking at the map. Yep, there he is, crashed into the barrier at the final corner.
Yep, so I think he's probably carried a bit too much speed through into there. We have seen mistakes through into that corner in the past, and yep, carrying a bit too much speed and bang into the wall.
And it got slightly worse for Andrew as well, because I've just seen Gonzalez moving up into 6th place ahead of Sebastian Vettel.
So things going from bad to worse, although Vettel might try and attack back here, as mentioned earlier with the slipstream fest around here, although it looks like Gonzalez has got that one covered. It must be said, of course, I know your dad mentioned this, or yourself, I can't remember which one, the Brickles it was that said this, is speaking of which, Taylor goes up into 9th. Gonzalez has definitely improved, because he was a little bit erratic when he was with Tornado, of course, and it looks like he's starting to get back to the sort of form, well, what I came across from him when I was doing commentary for FF1M in the past.
I've just been thinking about that exact same thing. Gonzalez seems to have rediscovered some of his mojo that he had back in 2015 and the first part of 2016. He's settling in pretty nicely in CBA racing and doing a very good job this season.
Yeah, let's see if he can keep it up for the remainder of the season, as Grosjean tried to have a go there at George Russell, couldn't quite make the move stick there, as the Mercedes livery versus the Sauber livery attacking each other. We've got a bit of a scrap going on here. Is Magnussen going to try and hang it around the outside here? You know what, I think he is going to do so. They're going to remain side by side. Nope, Kimmonen is just going to have the edge, but I've just noticed Graziola has actually overtaken Lewis Hamilton somewhere off screen, as Kimmonen goes a bit wide through there, a bit of understeer, and that's going to fight well. These four right behind him, a group of 2 here.
These 5 if you include Chuck Bucknam as well. Chuck Bucknam's making himself known as well in 3 wide into the first corner. Goodness me. And it looked like, as you were, because it's still Kimmonen, Magnussen, Caracciola, and then is it Bucknam ahead of Hamilton?
I think it is. In fact, I need to look at the helmet, but I think Bucknam must have passed Hamilton. So Hamilton's miserable race is continuing to fester here. Now Grosjean attacks Russell into the left-hander, but Russell gets that one covered. So he's really not letting Grosjean through that easily. He clearly wants to get a high finish for the Tilsley squad. Yeah,
Russell carrying Tilsley, I have to say, because he's performed pretty well in some practice sessions, and then for whatever reason Tilsley committing to the hard tyres. But yeah, they're in 4 out of 6 races this season. This is the 4th out of the 6 that they've qualified for, and Russell doing a solid job so far, but holding up Roman Grosjean into the kink, and Grosjean makes it.
What a move from Grosjean. So Russell couldn't really hold on for that long, and now Grosjean gets himself into the top 10, and now look at all this traffic that's now emerging for Russell.
I did see an FJR slowing.
Did you? It looks. I think it might be Caracciola, because I think that's Magnussen that's right behind there. It's a red helmet, so it might be Caracciola that's going slowly.
Let's find out shortly, but there is yellow flags, and an FJR definitely was slowing, as Bryant takes Vettel for 7th place now. It's Magnussen, actually, so Kevin Magnussen out of the race with mechanical problem suspension.
So it was a purple helmet then that I was looking at there. Obviously, easy colour to mix up, really. They're kind of a similar colour. But yeah, that's another Judd engine that's out of the race. So more concern for you.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'm taking... Yeah, it's going to be an aggressive approach, but it may result in a few failures, but we'll see how the rest of the runners goes. Kinnunen versus Russell for 12th place now, so Ocon got ahead of Russell in that previous lap, and he's up to 11th.
Yeah, Russell again trying to hold up a bit of his own version of a truly train, it must be said, with the lesser equipment, as I'll say, with the Tyldesley. Obviously, being a new team, it's kind of understandable. Be interesting to see if they're in it next season, because of course it's been slimmed down to 11 next season. And of course, I was mentioning as well when we were talking about chassis a little bit earlier on, I was obviously also possibly planning to see maybe if I could carry over a chassis for next season, because it seemed to have benefits for everyone, but it seems that we're having a reset for next season, so that plan's in the mud.
Seems so, yeah. We're reverting back to a different chassis setup, and we'll see later on what that's all about. So, as we watch Kinnunen chase after George Russell, Farina still leads on lap 8 by 1.7 seconds from Charles Leclerc. James Clark 3.7 off of the race lead. Alonso 4th, Bottas 5th, but Bottas has got Thomas Gonzalez pretty much all over his 6. Then it's Nolan Bryant and Sebastian Vettel completing the top 8, as Russell, Kinnunen and Caracciola do battle with each other.
I noticed there, Kinnunen, the speed of the Tornado, it really tops out quite quickly there, because it wasn't really getting alongside the Tyldesley, so that Tyldesley does have some decent straight line speed, because clearly Kinnunen can't do anything about it at the moment, although he might try down into here if he's lucky enough. Russell's not really defending it, heading into the left-hander, but he gets later on the brakes and holds on, so yeah, Kinnunen really having trouble passing Russell today.
As we switch to Gonzalez versus Bottas for 5th place, side by side through the kink. That never works, but it did for Grosjean, so it can work occasionally, as Bottas defends very heavily going into Canada corner, now through Thunder Valley, the right kink into the Bill Mitchell bend left underneath the bridge, and now the final corner where Daniel Ricciardo crashed out a little bit earlier on.
Every time you say Bill Mitchell, I always think you're saying Phil Mitchell for some reason. But anyway, as Gonzalez now then looks like he's going to get the move done, as the straight line speed of the CBA allows him to get alongside the GRM of Bottas. It looks like maybe the qualifying setup may be starting to come back to Bottas a little bit, as Gonzalez gets up to 5th, but still a solid 6th for the moment for Bottas, it must be said, after what has been quite a frustrating season for GRM so far.
Bottas was only 17th quickest in the warm-up, which may suggest that he was running a little bit more of a qualifying setup, but Perez was only 18th, so I think Bottas just got it hooked up on his qualifying lap, as Kinnunen finally gets up the inside and overtakes George Russell for 12th place. And can Caracciola follow through, or is she going to have to wait a few more corners?
It looks like she's going to have to wait because she's just backed out a little bit, but now she's going to try down the pit straight. But again, it looks like the Judd Power's just topping out a little bit there, just like what we saw with the Tornado. So again, the Tyldesley does have to have some decent straight line speed at this point.
Maybe that's their design philosophy, in that they were very quick in a straight line, but not so quick in the corners.
But look at the traction that Caracciola got there. But again, not able to get alongside, but she might do now. She tries to flick it back to the inside, but again, look at the speed the Tyldesley is carrying. Caracciola is going to have to go late on the brakes, but she doesn't, as Hamilton and Bucknam again continue to swap places whilst getting stuck in traffic all the time.
And Väinö Kinnunen coming into the pits early, and we were expecting 2 or 3 stops for this race, and it does surprise me that people would go for the 3 stops, because it's a very, very long pit lane.
Yes, and a very long circuit as well, it must be said, hence why it's only 47 laps.
So keep an eye out on the time loss in the pits, and they're at 60 kilometres an hour as well. That's going to be an age.
As that's one of the... is that one of the Andrews that's just coming to the pits there, the purple car? Or am I getting confused with another team? I always get confused with teams for some reason.
Mind you, that is a lot of fuel that has gone on board Kinnunen, so 24 laps, so he could be 2 stopping, but with a very early first stop, as he rejoins 18th, and now into the pits comes... out of the pits comes James Clark, rather.
Probably looking at a lap 33 pit stop, so yeah, you're probably looking at a 2 stop there. A 5-second stop for James Clark, no relation to Jim Clark whatsoever. As he now comes out of the pit lane. Quite a very long pit lane, as you mentioned. Lots of cars, as you can see, going past him there, and he's going to rejoin 15th behind this group of cars, which includes Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, who are scrapping for P11 at this stage.
And Caracciola has taken Russell somewhere in the previous laps, so now she's free to chase after Esteban Ocon, as Hamilton can't do... Oh, very, very late on the brakes goes Lewis Hamilton and sweeps past Russell up into 12th place.
Very good move for Lewis Hamilton indeed, as now Clark gets himself onto the back of this traffic. His teammates coming into the pits, as you can see, with the death panel on the top, so we're going to be seeing Farina coming into the pits very soon.
And he's still only 1.7 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, so those two look as if they're in for a race-long battle, hopefully. Hopefully for Leclerc's sake. But for a neutral perspective, hopefully we'll see a race-long lead battle as Caracciola pits.
Yes, lock up for Russell there, and Hamilton has finally got through.
Hamilton taking position. In fact, is that Hamilton or is that another driver? Is that Sergio Perez?
Actually, might be Perez, actually. I'm just looking. It doesn't say on the timing tower on the left, so I assumed it was Hamilton, but it does look like it might be Perez. In fact, as now Ocon is now attacking Russell. Looks like Russell's now getting swarmed, it seems. Ocon goes through. Is Clark going to follow through as well with the fresher tyres? The answer to that is no, so he's going to get held up a bit longer here.
That's not going to do Clark's race much good, because that'll give Fernando Alonso an opportunity to potentially overcut. As into the pits comes race leader Farina. Is Leclerc pitting as well? I think he is. He's still behind.
Fastest man on track was actually Clark. I think that's what the lap thing on the right means, because I know that you and another commentator got confused with that. I think it's whoever set the fastest lap on the previous lap. I think that's what that means on the right-hand side. So I think Clark is the quickest at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, at the previous lap. So Gonzalez is quicker than Alonso on this tour, as Mason Taylor, Gonzalez's teammate, comes into the pits.
Grosjean, meanwhile, staying out a little bit longer. He's still got about 6 laps of fuel, so I think in around about 4 laps' time we'll see the Frenchman come in as more pit stops are happening. Leclerc and Farina coming out of the pit lane now in P5 and 6.
Yellows.
So,
it's Kinnunen!
Vino, well, he was having a miserable race anyway, but that just compounds it even further.
Yeah, so at Canada Corner, he's going to make a mistake, turns in understeers smash into the wall.
Yep, and, I bet he was wishing for the race to be over anyway, because it looked like he was going nowhere at all. As meanwhile, around boy Perez has got Clark all over the back. It's a bit of contact there, and off the track goes Perez. Is he out of the race because he's clipped the wall? And, he's not moving. I wonder if he is out. Yes, he is. Perez is out of the race. And, that was a little bit cheeky from Clark.
Yeah, it's Clark getting his elbows out this time. And the little one was observing that. I think he's going to blame James Clark for that.
We'll get an independent panel on that one.
Thomas Gonzalez into the pits on the soft tyre shod Firestone CBA. I could have made that less convoluted. More pitters. Sebastian Vettel is another pitter, as we got a Willows in the lead.
That's the first time in a while I've heard that, but he's coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so actually 2 laps earlier than what I was anticipating. But yeah, that's a stat. Grosjean leading the race in the Petronas-sponsored Willows with Nottingham Forest on the side.
And Jesse B on the cockpit bonnet.
Yes, indeed. I guess I don't know if we'll see footage of when... In fact, I think we're sticking with Grosjean for the time being, so I guess you'll be wanting a backstory as to why she's on the car.
Yes, please.
Because I think you thought initially that Courtney might have had something to do with it from the chat that we had in that stream chat. I can assure you that was not the case at all. Neither Courtney nor even the other James had any involvement with that, as we see Alonso going through, so the cameramen deciding, no, we're not going to stick with that story. But no, I came across that music video towards the end of last year. I was listening to some of your lovely music, by the way. You should check him out. Very good music. And then I came across that music video called Asmo.
Yep.
And, when we got to the middle part of that music video, as Farina passes my guy, in fact, laps my guy, in fact.
That's for position.
No, that's for the lead. That's for position. Grosjean's coming in at the end of this lap anyway, so it doesn't really matter. little bit caught surprised by that. Let's put it that way, because I was like, does Mr. Brickles have a twin, or is that him in women's clothing? And then I look closer. No, that's him. I could tell from the nose it's him. That's him. So I was like, well, I'm keeping that one a secret. I wonder how I'm gonna, because I was originally I was gonna reveal here that I was probably gonna land a joke here saying we've come a long way in FF1M, something under the lines of you've had a child in recent years. We're in now our 5th year back. You decided to wear women's clothing during that time in a music video, but then I was like, to possibly cheer my son up a little bit, because for anyone that doesn't know, for 5 months straight, I had a pretty tough time in my life, losing 2 grandparents, or 2 grandmas, in the space of 5 months. And I was like, well, to cheer me up, let's make a livery which has Jessie B's face on it. And, well, long and behold, Jessie B Engines was born. Yep. So, there you go.
Yep, a subsidiary of Judd Engines. But, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she definitely caught me by surprise when she appeared on the cockpit of the Willows. And
she caught me by surprise when watching that music video.
And Gonzalez, by the way, taking Alonso for 4th place. So Gonzalez up into 4th place, and we're on board with his teammate, challenging Russell for 7th place into Canada. Contact between the two, and Taylor has spun it, and Nolan Bryant following him up in sympathy.
Yep, but luckily Russell's just avoided the wall there, unlike Perez, so he lives to fight another day. As does, of course, Taylor, and as does Bryant, although he's having to wait for a long queue of cars to go by before he can get going again. We're running aboard with Vettel, and more contact at the right-hander. In fact, that's why he spun, actually, did Vettel. It was because of contact he had on his own.
And that's why Caracciola suddenly made up a load of positions and is now in 8th, soon to be 7th, because Russell is due in the pits, I think, on this lap.
Bryant finally gets going, although down in 15th, as now we look at, this is Vettel and Taylor fighting for the final points. Russell in the pits for Tilsley, but now we have a battle for the final points position on our hands.
So the first pit stop's pretty much done now, once we're waiting for Russell and Perez to confirm their pit stops as, well, in a moment, because Taylor versus Vettel into Moraine Bend, and Vettel taking 8th place. So looking to salvage what's left of Andrew's race and Andrew's season, actually. But yes, pit stops done. Lap 18. Farina still holds a slim lead of 1.6 seconds over Leclerc. Clark now 8.7 seconds, so that early pit stop for Clark has definitely hurt his race because he's further back. And Gonzalez now up to 4th ahead of Alonso, Bottas, Caracciola and Vettel, as on board with Grosjean, looking at Esteban Ocon for 10th place.
Not quite doing what he was able to do with Russell a little bit earlier on, but Grosjean definitely flying the flame for Willows so far today with Verstappen's retirement earlier on, and looking to see if he can possibly try and challenge for points in this Grand Prix. I mean, I would like some points, I wouldn't like to stick with one.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see you get some more points as well, and who knows, if something happens to some of the top lot, then yeah, we could be seeing Grosjean back in the points for the first time since Macau last season.
As he's now having a look at Ocon for the final points place. Can he get later on the brakes? The answer to that is no. Ocon holds on for the time being, but Grosjean will try and line him up at the next possible overtaking opportunity if he can. There's actually a battle going on in front as well. Well, that's for Vettel and Taylor. Vettel, in fact, up into 8th place now. So he's now in the final point, as now Grosjean, can he get the Willows into the top 10? He's alongside him later on the brakes, and Grosjean up into 10th, and just on the scene is Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis and the Mitchells. So this is now a lead battle. It's just closing itself gradually, but it looks like Leclerc is up for this against Alessandro Farina.
Leclerc hasn't got a win yet, if I'm not mistaken, so...
Correct,
so he's looking at possibly trying to get his first win. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest, I'm kind of regretting getting rid of, Leclerc during FF2M, because I obviously have my young driver, Sakea, in the wings, and I knew I couldn't really ignore him for FF2M, so I had to make a choice of either going with Gasly or sticking with Leclerc. and I think I stuck with Gasly in the end, if I'm not mistaken, and, well, that turned out to be a mistake, because I think Leclerc actually ended up having an insane season in FF2M, so if I just held on to him, I could have maybe got a driver's title out of him, but yeah, as we've got another yellow flag, actually, I can just see on the bottom right.
It's Russell out of the race with an engine failure, and I think I saw Nico Hülkenberg in trouble as well. His pit indicator was on. So can Hülkenberg make it back into the pits?
A shame that for Russell, because he was having such a good race with the Tilsley, being a nuisance, but was doing a good job, as Farina making a bit of an error there, and that's going to give Leclerc an opportunity to snatch the lead off him.
Now let's see the straight line differences between the Gajera and the Tornado, both manufacturer teams, as Leclerc gets up alongside Farina. Farina starting to catch up in power, but Leclerc at the inside and takes the lead. Leclerc moving up into the lead just before half distance.
Fantastic stuff, and let's see if he can pull away. Of course, we still have the second round of stops, which could still change things. I remember, back in 2012 when Fernando Alonso won around here, it was a race of strategy then. On one stint, we had Alonso quickest. The next stint, I can't remember who it was he was fighting for the lead, but they were quicker on the second stint, and then the third stint, it flipped back the other way. So as long as Farina doesn't lose too much time, as we look at a replay of his mistake here that we saw, which allowed Leclerc to grab the lead, as long as he doesn't lose too much time, he could still get himself back in this.
Absolutely, but I am also just keeping an eye out on the gap further back. I think Clark is going to come under pressure from Thomas Gonzalez soon, because it's showing the gap there 2.9 seconds, and just updated 2.8, so yeah, that was the gap between Leclerc and Gonzalez. But anyway, Hülkenberg's made it back into the pits, and now we switch to a battle for 6th between Bottas and Caracciola. But yes, Clark definitely coming under pressure from Thomas Gonzalez.
Yes, it was a brake problem that was the issue with Hülkenberg. You obviously pointed out that Hülkenberg was dropping back a bit as well, and that was the reason. It was a brake issue that he had. As meanwhile, we now look at this is Caracciola on Valtteri Bottas. This is the fight for 6th position, and Caracciola getting alongside Bottas, and looks like she's going to get the move done. Is she? No, Bottas holding on for the time being, but looking at the straight line speed of the FGR, which is relatively decent compared to other cars that have topped out on the straight, you would imagine Caracciola is going to get it done down here.
Now, you say that about me car being decent in a straight line. I mean, some of that is ERS related, as Caracciola outbrakes Bottas into Moraine. Looking at my stats for the car, I will say that I've got quite good grip, but my efficiency is terrible. And
well, that might explain why we've been struggling a bit with reliability as well.
That's Bryant, by the way, taking... Who's he taking there? That was Esteban Ocon for 12th. As we switch to a GRM, that's obviously Bottas, because Perez is out of the race. It looks like Bottas is going to join him. Yeah.
Oh, another victim of the carousel. We normally see this a lot, and it seems that Bottas is joining the wall of fame there when it comes to the carousel.
His reliability rate is atrocious. I mean he did finish.
I saw this.
Yeah, he did finish the last 2 races, but before that, it was only 6 finishes out of 21 starts.
Safe to say, when you told that to George Roque, he was a little bit taken aback by that.
Yeah, I mean, it took me by surprise as well, but yeah, Bottas doesn't seem to like finishing races, as we see contact between Gonzalez and Clark going into Canada corner, and very rudely Gonzalez moves up into 3rd place.
Maybe he's still got a little bit of that erratic nature that we saw at Tornado, but no harm done, he is up into 3rd, albeit with a little bump and run.
Well, Clark did take out Perez there early in the race, so that's evened now.
In a way, because I don't think Perez tries to. As meanwhile, this is my guy actually fighting for the points here. This is Grosjean on the other CBA, which is Mason Taylor.
Grosjean versus Taylor for the final point. Now into Canada Bend. Taylor desperate to hold on to that. 2 customer Judd cars fighting for the final points position. Now, oh no, I've just seen Caracciola dropping back. That's another mechanical.
That's a shame. It was looking a little bit alright after the early failure of Verstappen, but it's back to the drawing board. It's a gearbox issue, in fact, a transmission issue for Cazzaiola, so a different sort of issue this time around. Is now Grosjean. He says he's already in the points. I think that's because he's got ahead of Taylor. No, into the first corner. Now he has. So Grosjean's actually up into 7th place. So he was already in the points, but now he's got 2 championship points he's holding on to at the moment.
That's taken advantage of the retirement of Caracciola as to why Taylor's still in the points and Grosjean's a little bit higher in the points. So, yeah, that'll explain that. As now Lewis Hamilton challenging Taylor for 8th place. We've skipped ahead a little bit, and Lewis Hamilton moving into the points now. Mitchell could definitely do with some points.
Indeed, especially considering that early on in the race we were seeing Lewis tumble down the order. So it seems like during this stint the Mitchell has got its act together.
Yeah, it looks like Taylor's struggling a little bit in this second stint. He's dropping back compared to the rest of the field. Maybe his tyres are a bit old. Maybe his race setup is not quite as refined as Gonzalez's.
Yep, as Bryant now once again trying to attack Taylor for P9. That'll put him 1 place away from the points, potentially trying to look at a double points finish for the Shake and Bake squad. And with Alonso currently up in 5th position, I notice he's dropped back a little bit since the first pit stop, but down the inside goes Bryant, not able to get the move done at the moment. Taylor just holding on for the time being.
Yep, as we continue to ride with Bryant through the hurry downs. Now to the left, which is before the carousel. I'm wondering if Clark is struggling in this second stint, because he did make that early pit stop, and he may be coming under... Oh, a bit wide there from Taylor, and off at the carousel. He survived it, though.
So he doesn't quite join the Hall of Fame. He did the little Tokyo drift there to avoid going into the wall, but yeah, probably a change of underwear needed for your dad there.
The Kiwi catch, as we'll call that.
Yes, as Leclerc, the race leader, he's coming into the pits at the end of this lap. The current gap to Farina is 4.2 seconds, and I'd imagine that Farina is going to stay out for a little bit longer, so he'll have a bit more fresher tyres than Leclerc on the next stint. So coming back to what I said earlier, if he's not fallen back too much, which I don't think he has looking at the 4.2 second gap, he could still win this race.
Yes, now I'd be interested to see how much fuel he takes on board, because the pre-race graphic did suggest 2 or 3 pit stops. It's somewhere between the two where Leclerc's coming in that window, so keep an eye out on the fuel that goes on board. Absolutely,
as he now comes into the pits, goes up the hill. The pit limiter is a little bit further down, it's around about here now. And, as I mentioned, we should expect Farina to go past into the lead. He is going to go past because Leclerc's mechanics are the only mechanics in the pit lane. So let's take a look at the fuel. 22 laps, so that should take him to the end of the race. So it is a 2-stop for Charles Leclerc, so I'd imagine that's the same for Farina, who for now is in the lead. But the question is, when is he going to pit?
That is the question indeed. Farina was one of the later ones to pit? I think he was pretty much at 1/3 distance, but trundling down the pit lane, that is such a slow pit lane, and it's such a long pit lane as well. But that's P5 temporarily for Leclerc, and Vettel just crossing the line now. So that's about a time loss of 30 to 35 seconds, as Taylor goes off again at the final corner, and this time he's not so fortunate.
Nope, he does the same error that we saw from... who was it earlier? Ricardo. Ricardo did the same error earlier. So, Taylor taking some advice from Ricardo there. Probably the wrong advice.
Yep, as Chuck Bucknam is having a look at... That's Esteban Ocon going into the first corner. That's confirmation of Mason Taylor out of the race. But Chuck Bucknam, he won the FF1M Championship last season, but has been... The only word I can describe is anonymous. I've barely seen him all season.
Maybe he's not taken to the FF1M cars so far. I guess, keep at it. Only experience will come, and eventually things will get better for him as he actually takes position there. Goes up to P10. As meanwhile, James Clark is actually going to be the first of the Gajeiras to pit. So not Farina, interestingly.
Not Farina. I mean, Clark was one of the earliest to pit and did get stuck in that traffic. Is this going to give Alonso an opportunity for an overcut, depending on where Clark rejoins? Decent stop, 5.3 seconds, and fuel to the end of the race.
Yep, a few more mechanics now in the pit lane. Leclerc currently the fastest man on the track at the moment, as you can see from the left-hand side there. As Vettel goes through into 5th. Clark still trundling down the pit lane. Is anybody else going to pass him? Yep, there's somebody else on the left-hand side. Grosjean's gone past. Bryant has gone past, so it's going to be P8 where Clark is going to rejoin.
Farina's got an issue.
Oh, problems and well, he still had a few laps, so maybe if he can get it back to the pits, but that's not going to do well, because now it's going to give him even more time to so he's not going to make it. So Farina, the championship leader, is going to be out of this race. So a golden opportunity for drivers to try and slice his lead.
Absolutely, and that breaks his podium streak for this season as well. So, because he had 5 consecutive podiums in the first 5 races. That's unfortunate. That moves Thomas Gonzalez into the temporary race lead, and I'll just say that again for CBA's benefit.
Yeah, though I suspect Leclerc is going to get the lead once the 3 in front of him pit, and it was a brake issue for Farina, so, interesting.
Yeah, maybe he was just struggling with the brakes from around... Yeah, maybe that's why... Yeah, let's say in the law, that's why he couldn't build out a lead. He was trying to protect the brakes, which eventually failed. But yeah, as you say, Leclerc is now back ahead of Thomas Gonzalez, who just pitted, but I was just waiting for the CBA next to me to cheer. Yay. There he goes.
Didn't quite hear him. Meanwhile, my guy, Romain Grosjean, is getting attacked by the other Gajero, the only Gajero that's now in the race, James Clark. I wonder how long it will be till Grosjean makes his pit stop. Oh, very close for comfort, but Clark somehow makes the move stick and just about avoids contact, clearly scaring Grosjean off there. And in fact, there's your answer. Grosjean's pitting at the end of this lap.
And Clark has just blown an engine as well, so that was all for nothing.
And it's a fiery engine as well for Clark, so a double retirement for Gajero. Guy Kramer is not going to be happy with this one.
Absolutely not, so Mugen powered cars proving not so reliable in this race, although both Mitchell's still in it. And Lewis Hamilton is going to move up into 5th place. Chuck Bucknam is going to move up into the points, so could be a potential double points finish for Mitchell if it goes well for them.
Puts Alonso onto the podium as well, so P3 for the shake and bake. Vettel up into 4th place as a result of this retirement, and it puts my guy, Romain Grosjean, up into 7th place as a result of his retirement.
Been a race of high attrition, this one. It's now down to 12 runners, now down to 11. Thomas Gonzalez, no!
Oh, where's his car going? Oh, right. That was close with Vettel. Oh, Hamilton, get out of the... Oof! What is going on with that car? It's got a mind of its own. If that's not an electronic problem, an ECU problem, then yeah, that's gutting. And I guess your dad's about to slam something in the kitchen right now. Yeah, he's going to do something. Gearbox issue. We saw that with Cazzaiola earlier on, so that's the second one we've seen in this race with 7 laps to go. Oh, that's Ocon, isn't it? Yes, it is. So that puts Giovinazzi into the points. A Tilsley into the points at the expense of a monolith. Well, we are seeing an attritional race because it's now down to 10 runners. Is that 10? No, it's 9 runners now. Evan Byrne's not going to be happy with this one. Meanwhile, this is Grosjean on Nolan Bryant here for P5, so maybe some more points on the offering for the Willows squad. Down the inside goes Grosjean, and it's been a great race for the Frenchman, and he's up into 5th position. So a really good race for Romain Grosjean so far. Please hold on, Roman. At least have one Judd finish the race. And have it be mine one, so we can get a good load of points. Good publicity for Jessie B. Yes, she needs a bit of it after what happened with Verstappen earlier. Yep. This is the final lap now, and, well, it's, considering his talents, this is almost not a surprise, but, yeah, Leclerc doing pretty well in this race, on course for victory. And how big is the gap between himself and Alonso? 29 seconds, so, yeah, he's driven well as Leclerc, and probable candidate for driver of the day. Yeah, we'll obviously read that on your on the FF1M website in the future, I'm sure. But yeah, Leclerc, absolutely dominant drive, and he proved himself in FF2M, came to a top team like Tornado, and in only his 6th Grand Prix, looks like he is, unless he has a FGR moment from a few years ago, he's going to grab his first ever win.
Oh, no, another one!
Oh, Vettel!
Another one!
That puts Hamilton on the podium!
Yeah. After the start of the season they've had, yeah, goodness me. So down to 8 finishers then, so massively attritional race as out of the final corner. And yeah, Charles Leclerc proving his talent by winning his maiden race. Well done, Charles Leclerc.
Well done indeed to the Monegasque, the first Monegasque to win in FF1M as well. So GG Leclerc on the first ever win, and that will be a P4 finish for Grosjean. I was hoping that either Alonso or Hamilton would drop out, so then it would put us on the podium.
Fernando Alonso, the consistent Fernando Alonso, coming home in second, and Lewis Hamilton kick-starting his season for Mitchell with a 3rd place, and Romain Grosjean gets a 4th place. Yes.
I'll take that for 5 points for the Willows squad, and that puts us on 6 in total for the season. It should maybe lift us up a couple of places. We'll have a look in a minute. But yeah, Alonso assumes 2nd place. Hamilton, after all the issues Mitchell have had this season, grabs a podium. So I guess Joe Mitchell will be very happy with that one.
Yeah, and Shake and Bake will be happy with 2 cars in the points. Bryant 5th, Chuck Bucknam getting his debut points as well. So both Americans finishing in the top 6. And Vettel hadn't started the final lap before his failure. So not only is Giovinazzi 7th, but Nico Hulkenberg in the Monolith is 8th.
So after Ocon retired, Hulkenberg came up to the plate and got Monolith's first points as well. So does that mean every team has now scored a point this season as a result?
All except for Galaxy, but they've only raced in the 1 race this season.
So plenty of time for them to not be the odd ones out.
Plenty of time, and that for the championship, Alonso now moves to within 11 points of Alessandro Farina, and Leclerc moving up to 5th place now ahead of Kevin Magnussen. And as for the rest of them, Romain Grosjean with that 4th place now moves up into the top 10.
Interestingly enough, Leclerc is actually tied with his own teammate, but Kinnunen ahead because he's had higher results than Leclerc.
Yes, and as for the team's championship, well, it's as you were with Gajera's points haul, but Tornado and Shake and Bake move up closer, 12 points each for those 2 teams, and despite the double failure, FJR hold on to 4th ahead of Mitchell, who are going to rocket up to 5th place thanks to Hamilton and Bucknam's results. And where's Willows? Up into 8th.
8th. Yes, so we've shot up the order a little bit. 2 points now behind AJ, who obviously didn't participate in this race because they didn't qualify. So who knows really? Could we maybe get a little bit higher as the season progresses? I certainly hope so.
Well, the next race we're sticking in the North American continent. We go over to Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix at Montreal. So, from the 2 of us, we shall see you for then.
See you over at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Well, not me, but somebody else.